Hello, welcome to today's episode. Today is on big mistakes versus little mistakes, and I'm going to demonstrate it with the cello because this is part of the cello series. I was doing something with cello that turns out that it was a big mistake, something that could get me in trouble down the road. And similarly, my question to you is, in your work, are you doing something that's a big mistake or that's a little mistake? A big mistake can get you in trouble down the road. A little mistake, it's fixable. Okay, let me give you an example of what I mean with, as a beginner, I think I'm in about week 8 of learning to play the cello. So as a beginner, what's a mistake that would be downstream not great, as opposed to, okay, it's a mistake. You may be familiar with this, you may not, but this is an example. I'll just play a line and then I'll show you what's an example of making a big mistake. This is, "Oh, Come Little Children." So that's the line, but this time, just watch this shoulder. So I practiced this and I'm going to exaggerate it, but I'm exaggerating here. I'm going to lower the camera. I'm exaggerating this, but at the same time, I actually do this. Literally, wow, this is what live cello experiment means. It's that your cello might get lowered by accident. I actually do this, which is not so great. And my teachers told me it's not so great. So observe literally just this shoulder here. First line of "Come Little Children." "Oh, come little children." So this, not good cello style. This, big mistake. Doing something like this versus this, not a big mistake. I'll find the notes, I'll figure out the notes. But if I'm playing smoothly, now I'll show you what my teacher says playing smoothly is. Playing smoothly would be, so literally just watching the shoulder not go up. Huh, that's a little mistake because it's a note. So my goal is my shoulder down. Big mistakes versus little mistakes. Let's look at that in the context of actual work. So you'll see when I've been talking with you, let me get my focus here. You'll see when I've been talking with you from a behavioral change point of view, I almost always use 2 examples in terms of will a habit stick. And the 2 examples that I use are how are you at work and how are you in something like physical exercise. So let's look at big mistakes versus little mistakes. A big mistake at work would be if you're running the team and every time the team comes to a meeting, you're just a little bit scared. They're a little bit on edge that you're going to yell at someone or you're going to tear down ideas. That's a big mistake. It's almost like a culture that you may have created. And when I say you, I mean anybody. That's a big mistake. A little mistake is if you make a decision at a team meeting and then 20 minutes later you get new information and you have to completely reverse the decision. That's a tiny mistake. That's like playing one note wrong. That's a small mistake. And that, I mean, people would love it if you got new information within 20 minutes. But let's suppose you've even had your team work on something for a day or 2 days or longer, and then you get new information that you have to shift the direction of the project. That's a small mistake. That's not one of these huge mistakes that's going to change how the team culture is, how people respond to being on this team, how enthusiastic they are about the outcome and the results. Yes, there's a hiccup, maybe even a hiccup that costs money in terms of resources or time. Yes, but you can get past it because the point is you change that hiccup, you keep going, you make the other decision. That's small mistake versus the big mistake of the culture. Similarly, let's look at exercise. So a small mistake would be if one night you end up watching a lot of Netflix and you just don't go to bed at your usual regular time. Small mistake, it's one night. A big mistake would be if you don't get sleep for a month, don't get enough sleep for a month, or you don't exercise at all for a month. That's a bigger mistake because it means there's something about your routine, your ritual that just isn't working. So similarly, when I was playing the cello, I didn't even notice this. I'm just focused on the notes and getting the notes right and the length of the notes. And then in this song, you have to start from the yellow part of the bow. That's the middle of the bow. So you have the bow stroke is really important. All of these things that I was focusing on and didn't notice that my shoulder just kept creeping up and creeping up. So my teacher on Zoom, of course, she sees this and she says, "Hey, Senia, you whatever you do, you need to fix that. You can get notes wrong, you can get rhythms wrong, you'll be able to change those, but you can't have a creeping shoulder when you're playing an instrument that you want to be playing for your whole life." That's a big mistake. Thank you for joining us today on big mistakes versus small mistakes. This is something that might come up in you for you in business. It might come up in your personal life. Where do you want to figure out what is that one thing that I need to really change? So for me, it's how I'm holding things. And where are there places where you can give yourself slack or really pay attention and be more responsive, like making decisions? Culture, shoulder, not getting enough sleep for a month, those are big mistakes. Making a decision and changing it when you get new information. Maybe not getting exercise a couple of days or hurting your sleep for a day. Those aren't as big of mistakes. So for me, a different note, it's a mistake and I'll fix it when I play that song 50 times. But if I'm not noticing this mistake, that might be a problem. With all of this, I want to wish you a super happy Thanksgiving. The next time that we'll probably see each other is on Monday, the 30th. I'm delighted you've been with us for this cello series and excited for all the episodes after Thanksgiving. Have a great time with your family, whether you're doing it on Zoom, by yourself, however you're doing Thanksgiving, if you're doing Thanksgiving. And think about what are the big mistakes that I might make but won't make in terms of relationships, things that are important over Thanksgiving. And what are little mistakes like, okay, if I overcook the string beans, okay. Great speaking with you. Look forward to seeing you again. I'm going to give you some outro music because that's new for us on this show. All the best. See you after Thanksgiving.